Welcome to Deep Look. We are live on YouTube every single Tuesday at noon Eastern or 12:19 p.m. Eastern today. I'm Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me is Keith Raynor. Keith, it's a big week in disc sports. We've got the US Open coming up, but we've also got the Disc Golf World Championships about to start over in Finland tomorrow. So a great time to lock in because you can watch the disc golf in the mornings, and then you can watch the ultimate in the late morning, early afternoons. It's a great time to be a disc golf and a disc sports fan.
This is how I know you're not a ball knower, because I thought for sure you were going to talk about the World Freestyle Championships that are taking place this week in Poland.
The thing is, I don't even know. Like, you could be telling me the truth. I don't know. Is it true?
I'm not. I mean, if I just raw
Listen,
guess that out of nowhere, then yes, it's incredible.
You're almost right. The World Overall Flying Disc Championships are coming up in Sweden on August 10th.
That's actually pretty close. All things considered.
They do freestyle, disc golf, accuracy, discathon, distance, double disc court, and self-caught flight.
Maybe so instead of
maximum time aloft, but you got to catch it.
Instead of wasting all of our time talking about how X, Y, and Z pro athletes would perform if they were just thrown on an ultimate field, maybe we should be talking about how ultimate teams would perform if they just like out of nowhere had to enter this contest.
The overall?
Yeah. Just, your starting O-line just has to go and do the overall.
I feel like it's so hard to assess somebody's double disc court abilities without knowing more about it, right? That's a game that you really need to understand the strategy of in order to be successful. A very fun game, I should add. Have you ever played double disc court?
Not once. I did know somebody who played a lot of DDC, as it were, but I have never played, don't even know the rules or the mechanics of the game.
Yeah, it's super fun. Basically, you can't have both discs in your court at the same time, and you can't throw it out of bounds. So you have to throw it into the other team's court. So there's all kinds of strategies about, floating some and lasering some and all, various different things. It's a lot of fun. You can just get a couple. You got to have the right discs. You really shouldn't use Ultra Stars. You got to use the DDC discs.
This is the next expansion of WL, PUL, All-Star, like All-Star Weekend Skills Competition. Mm-hmm. Let's get the overall events going on.
Absolutely. I'm with it. It's a 110 gram disc, by the way. You can buy them. I don't know if they're still available on Amazon, but cool game, fun stuff. And I'm fired up, Keith. We got US Open this week, and we're going to be breaking down everything in our preview. But first, it's time for the trivia question of the week.
All right, we're doing something a little bit different for this week's trivia question of the week. We're going to do a rules question, Charlie. I want to know what's the call on this rules conundrum. This one comes in from Brian Jones, although he says it's originally from Mitch D, which I presume is Mitch Dengler. So here's the scenario. Player A throws the disc and it goes out of bounds to player B. Player B performs a legal greatest and completes it to player C. So all three offensive players.
Okay.
While the disc was in the air going to player B and going out of bounds, player C's defender calls a pick. So the player who ended up catching the greatest, their defender calls a pick. What is the resolution?
Wow. This is niche. Let me think about it for a second. I'm trying to think through the possible various outcomes, and you can let us know a little bit about Breakmark while I think.
Yeah, one of the rules around here is make sure to check out Breakmark. 20th anniversary for Breakmark. They're giving away free stuff on Instagram every week. So if you're not following them on Instagram, if you're not going to the Instagram, You're missing out on free stuff. Like, what are you doing? You're messing it up right now. But they also heard that a lot of people really enjoy their bundles, but sometimes you just want a pair of shorts or a reversible or something. So they lowered the prices on all of their core sublimated items. So now short sleeves, reversibles, those are $35 for sublimated items. Shorts, $30. Same quality, same great, amazing customer service you've come to know from them, all for the 20th anniversary of Breakmark. So make sure to check out our friends at Breakmark.
All right, Keith. My suspicion is that because so obviously the discs go back, assuming the pick is, everyone agrees it affected the play, right? The disc has to go
Yes.
back. So is it going to go back to player A or player B? Well, the throw that was affected was the greatest throw from out of bounds. So it would make sense to me that that's where the disc goes back to. So I think my expectation would be that player B sets a pivot at the point at which they were last inbounds, and you play from there. It's a very strange one, but I can't imagine it goes back 2 throws. So that's my thought.
You are correct that it should come in with player B at the point, the spot on the playing field closest to the point of release for the greatest. I guess the point of release, not even where their last point of contact in bounds was, which also could have been, I guess, a potential wrinkle there. But they're
It's going to be
closest to the playing field, the point of release, which are generally going to be pretty close together. But every yard counts sometimes.
Okay.
I honestly, I originally thought it was going to go back to the original thrower, basically saying that the greatest and the initial throw, like, more or less are one throw. So we should just go back. But I totally understand how we arrived at this. This is the citation here is Rule 17G, which specifically cites a greatest. If an infraction results in possession reverting to a thrower who was airborne when releasing the disc, play restarts at the spot on the playing field closest to the point of release. This applies to throwers attempting a greatest or any other airborne throw.
Sure. So there's no way this has ever happened, right? No one's calling pick in a greatest scenario. I mean,
you've got to be.
I can see
you got
how
to
it's
be on
possible. Yeah. No, it's criminal behavior to call a pick on a greatest.
Well, like, I mean, what if it's like it's World Games final? It's the gold medal, and you got picked for the greatest. I mean, you got to at least send it to the camera, right? You got to at least take it to a review.
Just oftentimes those greatest situations are like broken plays. Everyone's sort of anticipating like this turnover happening, and then there's they throw it to the end zone. I mean, I can see how it's theoretically possible here, but I can say I have never seen this. I have never seen this.
Bobby Goff says whoever called the pick is given a double blue card, ejected.
Yes, immediately thrown out.
Directly to jail meme.
Well, I'm ready to be an observer. Sign me up. Sign me up. I don't even need to read the rule book. I just I know the rules based on the vibes, and the vibe was that it should go in on the sideline nearest the greatest throw. All right. Shall we talk some US Open, Keith?
Yeah.
You know what? I have one other thing I want to bring up before we get to that.
Yeah.
You go, and then I'll go, and maybe it's the same thing.
Well, there was a club tournament with some notable teams that took place across all 3 divisions last weekend, and that's Select Flight Invite West Edition, Western version. Yes. Where Furious was in attendance in the men's division. Traffic and Wildfire, they're in the top seeds coming into the women's division. Traffic does end up winning the women's division pretty comfortably. They beat Wildfire 15-7 in semis, and then Drift, the 8th seed, making the final in the women's division. Another Vancouver team, so all Vancouver final for the women's division. In the mixed division, the 3rd seed Darkwing, Massachusetts area, like Boston area team, they end up winning over Spoke 13-12, dramatic final from Seattle team from Spoke. And then in the men's division, no big surprise, Furious wins. They beat Oat, not Goat, Oat, 15-9 in the final.
Oat, not Goat. Good
not go.
clarification.
Any takeaways here from you?
Oh man. Some surprise teams I've never heard of, like making the finals. That's kind of interesting to me. Um, there's some good players on this Spoke team. Just checking them out. I don't know that I expect them to, you know, get out of the Northwest or anything, but cool to see. And then how about the 8 seed Drift making big moves? Um, I feel like I'm much less familiar with the players on this team, but they did pretty well. I mean, they only lost to Traffic. They crushed some of these other like regionals level teams. So yeah, again, I don't think they're going to make it to nationals, but cool to see like teams popping up that haven't heard of before and playing really well. What a weekend!
Yeah, I mean, we've seen teams in the Northwest of the women's division, your undergrounds or whatnot, emerge as challengers for one of the big name programs off their game. So maybe Drift could take that spot.
Since our last show, we have announced that Ultiworld is now the home of FrisbeeRankings.com. We are calling it Projected Rankings. Shout out to Cody Mills for all his work developing Frisbee rankings over the years. To be honest, I've been wanting to have Frisbee rankings be a part of the Ultiworld family for a few years now, and great to have Cody on board with it, and we're super excited about it. You can check it out right now, projectedrankings.ultiworld.com. You can also go to frisbee-rankings.com, and it redirects. And already adding a bunch of new features. Shout out to our director of technology, Orion Burt, who's added a bunch of things. You can sort by 10 plus games. You got the bid picture. You can see you can just sort by regions. You can sort by conferences. There's a lot more things getting added to the base that Cody has built, and we're hoping to add more in the future. So pretty cool to kind of check in on where things stand right now in the rankings department. Men's division, Northwest sitting on 4 bids, along with the Mid-Atlantic sitting on 4 bids. Like, could we have Vault, Temper, Truck, Pac-Man all survive and get bids? That would be insane. I can't remember the last time. I think we've had 3 in the Mid-Atlantic a couple times, but it's been a long time. You say no.
I'll take things that are not going to happen for 500, Charlie.
Hey, listen, Pac-Man pretty good, Keith.
The math is just not in favor of this all happening.
I mean, it's probably unlikely, but even if, McMachine's not in the rankings yet, when Machine comes in, they're going to be pushing out like Goat right now, which would leave the Great Lakes with 1, because remember, Goat is now in the Great Lakes. So I don't know. The real question is like, are Vault and Temper actually good? I think it's
even they
unlikely,
could,
but I think 3 is very possible.
Good and still not get 4 bids. Yeah, 3 actually. 3. I'm not gonna be snide about. I still think it's not the most likely outcome, but I think that's possible. And like,
all right, how about in mixed?
Somewhat reasonably possible, right?
Yeah. How about a mixed? 5 Northeast bids right now. You've got Exist at the 5 spot, Slow at 7, Zero Strategy at 10, Sprocket at 12, and Grand Army at 14. I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say that I'm not going to keep 5 bids, but is 4 possible?
No, Zero Strategy, for the record, has a now Wesley and Vicious Circles alum on it. So no wonder they're off to a rip-roaring start. Somebody in the Discord made a comment about how Zero Strategy, now they're 13-0, should just cancel all of their tournaments, like go to nothing. And somebody replied like, that would be too much strategy, which I thought was really strong, like borderline Hall of Fame channel level commentary in the Discord. But yeah, this feels like early season inflation, right? 3 or 4
for sure.
Again, much like the Mid-Atlantic in the men's division. I think -1 is extremely likely, and -2 is possible, if not probable.
Women's division, Northwest sitting on 5 bids right now, Southwest 3. The Northwest has Riot, Schwa, Traffic, Dark Sky, and then all the way the last strength bid earner right now, Underground. Underground is 1 and 5
Remember,
and number 15 in the rankings.
remember when Parcha like came out and lit the world on fire? Now they're not even in the bid picture. Like they didn't play any games since then. So they'll be at the US Open. We'll be talking more about them. But you look down the line and you see a team like Parcha outside the bid range, and you wonder how much this is going to hold up as we get further into the season. But there is the typical bid battle feels like it's shaping up here. This is before Molly Brown's played, so they'll probably push the top SC team right now is Vengeance. They'll push them down into being in that battle with, the third, fourth, fifth teams from the Northwest. The second and third team from the Mid-Atlantic, the fourth team from Northeast, the second team from the Southeast. Like I feel like we do this battle every year. So I feel like this is all shaping up for the same.
We're waiting until the US Open to really talk about bids much.
Yeah.
But it is interesting to see how things are shaking out in the early season. Lots will change at the US Open. We're getting to that in one moment. One other thing I wanted to bring up before we get to that, Keith. The United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee just altered its policies. This was a story broken by the New York Times a couple of days ago, late last week, to align with the recent executive order from the Trump administration, and will now bar transgender women from competing in women's competition. And they're telling all of the national governing bodies that are a part of the USOPC, all the Olympic sports and some non-Olympic sports, including USA Ultimate, that they are going to have to comply and rebuild their policies to align with this new USOPC mandate, which is incredibly vague. There's not really much guidance from the USOPC right now. And they basically just said, you have to follow this executive order and you have to comply. Now, what is not clear at the moment is whether this really applies to an organization like USA Ultimate, which is an affiliate of the USOPC, because it's not an Olympic sport. And basically, USAU doesn't know the answer to that question. The USOPC, when I asked them, did not give any information as to the answer to that question. So there's a lot of murkiness right now. But I think it is very possible, Keith, that we're going to be in a situation where the USAU policy, which is that you can play in whatever division in which you feel comfortable with basically no restrictions or guidelines whatsoever, is very clearly directly in opposition with the USOPC policy, and they may be asked to comply. I guess the question is, would USAU even consider complying with this in order to remain a part of the USOPC, universe, which has some loose benefits to USAU, like kind of like a little bit more cachet with like Boys and Girls Club and some of the other things that USAU is trying to do? Or will they just walk away? Even though that also may entail some risk that the Trump administration tries to go after Ultimate for not following its executive order.
Yeah, it's definitely a tricky situation. I mean, there was a big Reddit post about basically like pitting the Olympics versus transgender inclusion and gender inclusivity. That same kind of conversation spawned up in our Discord. So the opposite ends of that spectrum those lines are being drawn now. But yeah, I'll rip another comment from the Discord. It's like, what are they going to do? Kick us out of the Olympics? Like, how much is it worth to hold this like 1% chance that we get in the Olympics and all our dreams come true? That I don't really know. And I think the greater question is there going to be an impetus for change? Because as you mentioned, this is all very vague. It's not clear what the rule really is, how it would be applied, or if it applies to USA Ultimate. So all of those questions, like someone would have to actually ask them in a way that was meaningful. This could be more symbolic, or we could just fly under the radar because of the size of the organization. My guess is that's what USA Ultimate's going to hope happens. Someone's going to have to step forward with standing to create an issue for somebody to come in and adjudicate what should happen, or force USA Ultimate's hand in some way. Otherwise, I think they're going to just kind of take their hands off the wheel and hope nothing bad happens. But if we do end up in that situation, it's not going to be pretty. It's going to create some real challenges for you.
I have to think, given USAU's position on this over the long run. I mean, listen, USAU is very institutional. Like, they're trying to be the model governing body in the eyes of, USOPC. I mean, the WFDF's the same way in the international sports community, trying to do all the little things right to avoid any kind of like potential roadblock to eventual Olympic inclusion. Here's the reality, though. The next Summer Olympics that USA is Ultimate is even, or that Ultimate in general is even possibly going to be in, is 2032 Brisbane. And that is, 7 years away. Now, they make the decisions about the sort of the added additional sports well before that, but and it would probably happen under the Trump administration. It's just such an unbelievable long shot that, like, is it really worth? And like, does it even matter if USAU is a member of USOPC? If they decide to add Ultimate to like the one-time Olympics thing in Brisbane, because none of these other Frisbee organizations are members of their Olympic committees in their various countries. I mean, I shouldn't speak with any kind of super certainty on that, but it's not like people are going out of their way looking for Olympic committee, recognition in their country right now. So like, I just don't think that that's really like a factor. I would be shocked if push came to shove if USAU didn't just walk away, even though they're like super institutional focused. I mean, it would be so catastrophic for them from like a membership standpoint that there's no way they do it. This is a thorny topic, and like USAU has gone kind of like fully in the inclusion direction, to a point where there's like basically no structure at all as to like who is eligible to compete in the women's division. I honestly wonder if they need to put a little bit more structure around that. I feel like we're starting to see some conversations about that bubbling up online, but the idea that they're going to say, oh, we're going to comply with the USOPC and we're going to, bar transgender women from playing in the women's division, I don't see it happening. It's not happening.
And not only would it upset the members, I think it would upset folks at US Ultimate. I mean, I think this actually,
you'd have people resigning,
brush up against USA Ultimate's values, and
right.
That's a challenge that they might actually stand up to. Like in a lot of cases, I think USA Ultimate's going to go with the flow and take the mainstream option and play it safe and figure out a way to placate. But this might be a place where they dig in their heels and say, no, we're not backing down on this. And I mean, I hope we don't have to find that out. But you said USA Ultimate has gone heavily in this direction. I think that's because they mean it.
I agree. MP Goff says in the chat, is there any bigger cultural divide between disc sports in this country than the way USAU and the PDGA are likely to want to deal with this issue? And, eventually that kind of circles back up to the WFDF level, because theoretically they're the global body that encompasses both. But yes, I mean, the PDGA has already actively tried to block transgender women from playing in the women's division. They're kind of on like a detente right now that's going to expire at the end of this season. And I will be surprised if they didn't just come out and say, they're going to put in the strict rules that we're starting to see other sports put in, for transgender women who want to play in the women's division. I would be shocked if they didn't do that, because now they have other sports doing it, USOPC lining up behind it, Trump administration, and this is what they've already wanted. And meanwhile, USAU is on completely the other side of this issue, to where there's no rules at all, basically.
And I recall back to the You could probably speak to the specifics better, but there was a disc golf election, right, that selected their primary decision maker as it pertained to WFDF, and somebody who was in a disc golf who was like looking to argue for disc golf to have a greater role in the WFDF picture did not win that election. And I think that could have been a potential like situation that could have turned the tides. Like if you did have disc golf having a larger influence in the WFDF sphere, if disc golf was a bigger part of WFDF programming, we could see these issues being raised at the WFDF level, and then that turn check into the ultimate.
I promise you it's coming for WFDF.
Yeah.
Because what's happening right now, just as some background here, and then we can get to US Open. I know we've got a lot to do today. The IOC now has a new president. This is the International Olympic Committee. She has expressed skepticism about allowing transgender women to play in women's divisions in sport. There has also been a lot of general discussion about this at the international level, with more and more sports federations saying transgender women cannot compete in the women's division unless they went through, they started having hormone blockers before puberty. There's a bunch of like side stuff that we don't need to get into today. But basically, the IOC took a totally hands-off policy on this issue a couple of years ago. They said each federation has to make their own rules. Here's the guidelines and principles you should use to make your rules. Now they're re-looking at this. They're creating a task force. Basically, people want them to have more of an active role in deciding this. I think there's a very good chance we're going to see the IOC come out and say, we're putting in much stricter rules on who can play in the women's divisions across Olympic sports. And those rules are going to roll down to WFDF. And then what's WFDF going to do? Because we're going to be in a very similar spot, but it's going to affect competition in a much more meaningful way. Because imagine, if USAU and WFDF end up with completely opposite policies here, I think this is an inevitability. I expect this to come sometime in the next year or two. And I don't know what WFDF's going to do.
Well, I hope that this is not something that's going to have a big impact on the ultimate community, but I feel for people who will be impacted should that happen. So it's not a great state right now, at least not in my opinion.
All right, let's move on. Of course, if you have thoughts on this, email us anytime, deeplook@ultiworld.com. Hit us up in the Discord. US Open coming up. Let's talk women's division first and foremost. Let's pop up the pools and take a look at the marquee regular season tournament of the regular season. Fury, the number 1 overall seed, and how can they not be? Interestingly, Molly is the 2 seed ahead of Brute Squad, and then Scandal, Bent, Flipside, Riot, Parcha rounding out your top 8. Definitely a little bit of a thinner bottom 4 here, but hey, BFD Shout coming over from Italy. Looking forward to seeing them in competition. They've been one of the best teams in Europe for a couple years now. We've also got Grit, Kelp, and Vice playing in the event. So Keith, I don't know if we necessarily need to talk about like pool of death, given the kind of everybody makes pre-quarters. So I guess let's just big picture, like, what are you looking to see out of this weekend?
Well, of course, the big questions are going to be how these top teams sort themselves out. This division has a bit of a different feel at the US Open than the other 2 divisions since the pandemic. I mean, in 2022, we didn't even have a women's division at the US Open when we had both mixed in and men's divisions. And since then, kind of the tournament has had a little bit of trouble filling out as an elite event. And so you get the kind of like haves and have nots, so to speak, where you have teams that feel like championship contenders, and then maybe a little bit of a middle tier, and then some like regional level teams and a couple of international teams, usually of not the greatest renown. So it's given the tournament a weird feel in years past, and that makes you focus and makes me focus even more on how the elite teams are competing against one another. Now, again, you're going to be a little bit impacted by World Games absences a little bit in that sense, but this is a chance for these teams to assert themselves as true title contenders, it's hard to imagine them getting knocked off of those pedestal. Like if Fury were to lose to Parcha, you'd still probably say Fury is a championship contender, right? So
Yeah.
it's hard to imagine, but like
Yes.
could Bent make the final, and now you're thinking about them as a real threat for a title, or a Riot or flip side, or could Brute Squad lose in quarters, and now you're worried about them? Those seem like potential possibilities.
I'm not going to lie to you. With the U.S. World Games players not participating, and some of the other World Games players who are on these teams, like the Cardenas sisters, for instance, for Mali, um, with them not playing, it's going to be hard to really get big takeaways from this weekend. I think it's good, particularly in the women's division, but it's just like, how can you really evaluate Scandal when they're playing without Claire Trope? Right? Like, she's by far their best player. Like they simply don't have the ceiling. Now, okay, listen, if they go out and they win the tournament without Claire Trope, then okay, we can talk about them being a big time championship contender. But when they lose inevitably in quarters or get blown out in semis, and Cammie Groom also not playing for them this weekend, like it's just hard to really make much of what they do. Like if they get so that let's say they win their pool, which no guarantee. That's actually Shout is a way tougher 3 seed in your pool than any of the other teams. Let's say they win their pool. They cross over against Mali. They lose 15-9. Like, I just don't have much that I can make of that besides saying maybe that Mali's depth is better than Scandal's, because Mali's also going to be missing key players like Claire and the Cardenas twins. I think it's still going to be a fun tournament. There are going to be some great games, but it just is not going to tell us all that much about what's going to happen in October, because the absolute critical players for these teams are not suiting up.
I don't know. DC Shadows over there saying, "What up, hater?" They said we couldn't do it without Claire and Cammie, and we went out and won the thing. So Shout is a fun traveling team. I wish we had some more of that to fill out the rest of the division and add some new storylines. But otherwise, yeah, I think maybe you're even after listening to you, maybe I underestimated the impact some of these World Games absences are going to have. I will say, Levka is on the Brute Squad roster. I also basically feel like I've never seen her sit. She does not. She doesn't seem to take even a week off from playing Ultimate. So maybe there just is no way to get her off the field.
I mean, I'm already looking forward to like Fury Brute. I expect both those teams to still win their pool despite some of the absences. And that should be a great game. There's the 1 seeds cross over. A plays C, B plays D, and then the 2s and the 3s play pre-quarters. But like that Fury Brute game is gonna be awesome. Even with some of the players out. Like that's the little depth sneak preview game, right?
Yeah, to really start to hone in, because those are teams that they are going to have depth players who are taking steps forward at nationals. Like you may see some people earning time in semis, certainly on Fury, especially that you may have not been familiar with prior to the season.
Are there things that we will be able to take away? I'm saying maybe not in the championship conversation, but what about some of these teams that are maybe not missing players or that have kind of more things to prove, like a Bent or a Riot or a Parcha or even a Kelp, an interesting team?
Certainly, Parcha in particular, given the way that they started the season, I think they're a team that you really want to have eyes on. Like, let's find out what they're really made of. Can they do it in back-to-back weekends, or not back-to-back, in back-to-back tournaments? Because that's a real statement for them. Last time out at Pro Elite East, they went 5-2. They lost to Iris and Bent, but otherwise, they beat Phoenix and Sixers. Like, how for real is this Parcha team? Because they looked really good on tape. So this will be a different type of test for them. They're one of the teams to watch in my mind.
You want to make some predictions here?
We should.
I know it's
I know we
hard with
said the Shout team's pretty good, but we should mention that like I guess these are players who are on shout to my knowledge, but they're not from Bologna, like Ava Mueller, Charlotte Shaw. Like they have some strong additions, so to speak. From I'm sure there's an actual term, because I think in Europe there are restrictions about who can play with your team in the European series. So I do think that they have added some good players to this team from outside of Italy, and they're going to be tough. They're going to be a tough team.
Is there a chance they win this tournament?
No.
I mean,
near
players you
zero.
just named are world class.
We're in the asymptote, I think, for them to win this tournament.
Let me. I'm pulling up the EUCS rankings right now to see where BFD Shout stands right now in the women's division. They are number one. They are 12-1. Their loss came to, let's see if I can find out. Games. Here we go. They lost to Moon Cup at the Elite Invite. So, they're a very good European team. It's like Italy plus ringers. I think that they won't win, but I think they might make the final. I think they could make the final.
These are not like pickups for this tournament. Like, these are players who play with the team enough that they're going to have chemistry.
Yeah,
I think they're good enough.
I think it's
good team. That part, I don't know if I can get the parlay of them like beating Bent, Brute Squad, Fury three games in a row in the bracket.
Yeah, I think I don't really love the European tendency now towards these super teams. I feel like it's getting more and more concentrated onto like 2 or 3 teams per division. I guess I'm not surprised by that, but it feels kind of bad to me. But it does mean that this team is going to be super competitive. Should be fun. That's a fascinating pool, I think. Scannell, Bent, Shout. Shout could win that pool 100%. If Scannell's at full strength, I think they win it easy.
Benji Reese in the chat notes that they did lose to Tequila Boom Boom, great team name, in the Italian national final, and did not qualify for WUCC. So maybe they're going to be out for blood out here.
Ouch. I wonder if they just didn't like bring their full roster. That seems crazy. Tequila Boom Boom taking the WUCC spot. Brutal. All right. Picks.
I'm gonna take Fury over. Are the Colombians are not listed on the bet roster? I'm gonna take Fury over Scandal. I think you're selling Scandal too short. I think Fury over Scandal in the final.
Yeah, if there's my cat is moving my camera. If there's one team that can survive losing some of its best players to World Games absences, it's definitely Fury. I think I'm going to take Brute to win this tournament and Fury to finish second.
All right. I think this Fury is well suited to manage their abscess, and like it's just Finney, right? I mean, not that Finney's not good, but
and Kayla.
Kayla's not on flip side anymore. Is that right? Are you sure Kayla's not on flip side? I think Kayla's made the switch back.
Am I wrong?
Okay, yeah. No, I think Kayla's
she was, and then she went back to Fury, right? Oh gosh. Now I'm not sure.
I think she's on flip side, so
I think you're right. She's on flip side. So it's just Finney then? Because Kirsten Johnson's playing because she's only an alternate.
Right. Yeah, okay. I think the alternates are playing. So.
You're right. Okay. Well, I stand by it. I still think I'm taking Brute.
All right. I'm down. Which division you want to go to next?
Why don't we go to the mixed division?
Oh, Anna
Let's take a
Thompson,
look at the
Liv
pools.
mentioned another
Oh
absence.
yeah, of
Yes.
course. See, I got to look at the full list. Okay, here we go. Mixed division pools. BFG is your number 1 seed. Dragon Thrust, the 2. Shame, the 3. Lawless, the 4. Then Slow, Exist, Hybrid, Sprocket, Rally, Disco Club, Voltaje, Makawua. These seeds make no sense at all. Don't even try to figure out how they came up with the seeding. It's just completely nonsensical. But we get to have Dragon Hybrid in pool play, which is pretty cool. And Shame Exists. There's going to be great games. I feel like anything is possible here. Like any of the top 7 seeds, in my mind, could win this tournament.
Dang, just slaying Sprocket, huh? They make the finals last year, and you're just
I'm slaying them.
Just no love. Yeah, the seating is pretty funny. It's funny to laugh at, but you know what? Like, if they had made the seating right, like, would you really expect 1, 2, 3, and 4 to make semis? I doubt it. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah, you can kind of throw that out, but it's also like, what do we do with these early season results? Like, BFG lost 3 games already. Like, but are we expecting more of what we thought from the preseason from BFG? What about Hybrid? They're the 7th seed coming into this tournament, but maybe they actually got to deserve it after losing to Shine and Exist. Like, I feel really lost in trying to assess what we know about the mixed division right now.
I completely agree. All the good teams have a loss. Like the highest ranked team with no losses is Zero Strategy. That is true. That is real.
Zero strategy, 0 losses, baby.
Have lost to somebody. That's right. So I don't know. I think we're gonna. I expect to see some kind of reversion to the expectations here. I think Shame's gonna do well. I think Hybrid's gonna do well. I'm curious about like where BFG and Exist fit into the conversation, and Dragon, like in terms of competitiveness. But I will not be shocked at all if we end up with a Shame Hybrid final. I'm sticking with my preseason kind of expectations here.
Is that, are you already going straight to your, I mean, I really like, could you even see a team like Rally have a breakout weekend? Like, I guess I have trouble quite seeing them winning this tournament, but making a run to semis or finals, that seems possible.
Absolutely.
The roster's talented. They've been good.
Yeah.
I don't know that the internet, I had to peruse the international rosters. There are some good players on these rosters. But I don't know they're really going to provide a ton of challenge. They're also a little small, which can be difficult in Colorado in thin air. You don't want to have be short on legs, but yeah, I mean, I also would not be surprised. Like I know you wrote off Sprocket. I would not be surprised to see them bounce back either. Start to integrate some of the new pieces like Devin Quinn. Yeah, I would not be surprised to see Sprocket make a running again. So, I mean, it really feels like though I am throwing darts at the board and trying to make the picks.
It's I don't think the teams know where they stand yet. I think people feel a little bit like, where are we? Exactly. So to me, what we've had so far has been the preseason. And now we enter the regular season with the US Open. And it's a little weird this year because of the absences, but that doesn't really affect. I don't think, are there any players who are going to be missing from the mixed division? I don't think so.
No.
So
I mean, not
this will be like a true look at where things stand in mixed right now. So we can start to send off the, alarms and everything. If a hybrid finishes 5th, like, okay, what's wrong with hybrid? We can start to have those conversations. Until this tournament happens, to me, it's just like teams getting reps.
I'll tell you what. I'm taking hybrid to win.
You're gonna take them to win.
Yeah, bounce back season. Who cares about this early season stuff? I'm going back to my priors. I'm going to take hybrid over exist. That's what I think I'm going to go.
Give me shame over exist.
I feel like
I'm going.
BFG is going to make us eat this. Doesn't BFG always do well at this tournament?
I won't be shocked. Yeah, they've always played well. I mean, they've been a good team every year, and they've tended to play well at US Open.
Yeah,
I like shame here. I think like the altitude thing is like a little bit of a factor in their favor. I also just think they're super talented, so I'm going shame. But I think the other finalists, like I said, any of those top 7 seeds, very reasonable. Although
are you going to stick with Lawless?
BFG, Dragon, Shame, Exist, Hybrid is like the list that I actually have. Lawless and Slow just get included because they got seeded ridiculously high.
Yeah, I mean, Lawless went 1-6, 1-5 at PDGA West. So
I don't.
I think including that might be slow, a little more justifiable. But
come on. All right. So let's take a quick break here. When we come back, we'll talk men's division. We'll take a look at our streaming schedule, and then we'll talk a little UFA first round playoff action. We had all the first round games this past weekend. Stay with us. It's Deep Look. Welcome back to Deep Look. It's time to take a look at the men's division at the US Open. Aurora, Colorado. All the games start Friday morning. We've got 3 days of club competition with the finals on Sunday. And then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, they have the concurrent Youth Club Championships action. You can watch all of the games streaming live on UltiWorld. We're going to have a ton of games this year. We're doing Field Pass for the first time from US Open, along with a showcase game every single round. So you catch all the competition on the club side up through the semis will be on UltiWorld. The finals will be on ESPN 3, and I think one of the games is on ESPN 2 live on cable. So let's take a look at the men's division pools, and then we'll talk streaming schedule in a moment. Here we go. Rhino is the number 1 seed, coming off their championship last year in October. Pony, the 2. Revolver, the 3. Machine. Mooncatchers coming over from Europe. Truck Stop, BFD La Fota, the Italian side in the 7 spot. Dig, the 8. Then Clapham, the 9. Chain, the 10. Buzz Bullets from Japan, the 11. And Bravo, the hometown team, coming in at the 12 seed. Keith, this division is absolutely stacked. This might be the best US Open division, like collection of teams relative to the strength of, the international and the US sides that we have ever seen.
I don't know. Is Johnny Bravo sending their JV squad or the varsity team? Like, is it
get them?
Are the coaches playing?
The Colorado the Colorado Summit, they fell down the mountain this weekend. Um, I guess with the team formerly known as Summit, we have to start calling them.
Right. They're
Yeah, no, I think it's Bravo bounce back time, but I don't know how high they'll bounce back. Dead cat bounce.
I mean, this field is a tough one to bounce back against. A lot of the top teams showing up, and then strong international teams coming to attend. So it makes for a pretty strong field. What will teams be doing? Again, World Games absences, so we'll have a couple players missing from various teams, but hopefully the added international talent helps fill things out. Again, another tough one to make a pick as far as assessing who's going to be the best teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fascinating. And of course, absences again affecting teams here. I can't wait to see Mooncatchers playing. How about the Don Desmarais conundrum? I think he has to play with one team at this tournament, right? I'm not sure USAU allows you to play with multiple teams.
He is not listed on either roster. I don't know what that. I don't know what that means.
Just not playing?
Oh no, he is. He's listed on the Mooncatchers roster. Excuse me. He's listed on the Mooncatchers.
So he's not on the Machine roster. So he's committed.
He's not listed on the Moon roster at this moment.
Yeah, I think you have to pick a team. I have to say, I'm glad he's going to be playing with Moon. I kind of want to see them basically at full strength. I think it's going to be more fun than if he was playing with Machine. But yeah, I mean, what an awesome collection of teams. Like Clapham Revolver, to me, that's like a throwback to the Worlds with Lecco, World Club Championships. You've got a dangerous chain team chilling there in Pool D along with Machine and Mooncatchers. Machine playing their first games of the season. What are they going to look like? Now, obviously, they're not going to be 100% at full strength playing without Dan, who's been incredible in the UFA and just has clearly become one of the top players in the world. So that's a notable absence for them, but still, a great team with championship aspirations this year. How does Rhino do coming off their title and a little bit of I don't want to call it a shaky start, but they didn't look at their absolute best back at PDGA West.
They're the most impacted team by World Games absences, right?
Right. Pony, of course, will be missing Marquez as well, Chris Kocher. I don't know what to expect from Buzz. They're not the team they once were, but they
do have a couple of World Games players on the roster. I'm surprised.
Whether or not those guys play, you think they'll play?
I don't know. They have Akifuma Muraoka and Kyle Arakawa are both rostered. I don't know if they're going to play or not. I wouldn't, but not my call.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different for different players, right? If you're like, our team could win gold, maybe you're like, we don't want to play. But if you're like, maybe we're going to medal this year, you might be more willing to play because this is such a competitive tournament too. I'm super excited to just watch these games because I think we're still kind of figuring out what the shape of this season is going to be. And once again, I think it will be hard to draw broad conclusions about championship contender tiers because of the absences of the World Games players. But, lots to learn about the depth, lots to learn about where the international teams fit into the picture with the US teams. We just haven't had such a strong collection of international teams all together at a tournament. You basically have the two best teams in Europe, the best team from Japan, and is La Fota the third best team in Europe right now? They've been great. Let's see what the current rankings have. I'm going to pull it up. Current rankings, men's division. Shock from France is number 1 right now. Mooncatchers is 2. Clapham is sitting all the way down at 8, actually. La Fota at 7. That's going to resolve. Some of these teams are focusing on different things. At the end of the day, I still think Moon and Clapham are the teams to beat in the men's division over in Europe.
What I'm trying to recall, how, outside of Revo, how well has any international team done? Like, I can't even recall an international team that had a great run, not counting the Canadian teams, obviously, outside of North America, aside from that Revo squad.
I can't remember. I know Clapham has come over a couple
I think
times before. Maybe
Mud
semis?
maybe made semis. I think Mud might
Yeah.
have made semis one year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the international teams have it's obviously difficult to travel to the US to play in the toughest environment that you play in outside of some of your world championship events. So I'll be curious. This Mooncatcher, it's great to see both the Yonkers back together.
Yeah.
Hopefully that leads to some fireworks for this Mooncatchers team. Oh, Ellipsis. Max Charles brought up Ellipsis. Yes. They
They
went
won,
to the
right?
final, right? Or
Didn't they win?
Yeah.
I thought
They
they
were
won.
good. They were
It's
good.
been a long time. Yeah, I think this is the first time we've seen the Yonkers back together on the field for quite a while. Mooncatchers is fun. I mean, they're the super team in Europe right now. So I really look forward to watching all these games. Let's make some picks. It is so hard. I'm going to take, you know what? Give me Mooncatchers to win this tournament. Over Revolver. Is that crazy?
Crazy. I mean, it's fun, but I don't know if I'd take crazy. Revolver. They're good. I'm having trouble picking between, like, I think I want to go with some combination of Revolver, Truck, and Mooncatchers. I'm gonna go Truck over Revolver. I think Truck. Like, I'm sticking with a bounce back.
Truck.
They've done so well.
I don't know if they're going to have it this year.
This time last year, you were saying they're never going to turn it over again. Now you think they don't got it.
Yeah, they had Johnny Malks on the roster, Keith.
That's true.
I just think the talent level.
Yeah, but now they've Aiden Downey, right?
Too much. I still think they're really good.
Maybe you're talking me into Revolver over Truck. I still think they're good enough to make the final.
That's what I'm going to do. I think Revolver's fantastic this year. Revolver over Truck?
Yeah, so I'll switch it.
Any of these teams could win. Gonna be a great tournament. Let's pop up the streaming schedule, take a look at the action that you'll be able to watch. Again, starts on Friday. That is August 1st. Kick things off at 8:30 a.m. Mountain Time. Over on the showcase field, we've got Shame taking on Rally in the mixed division. And then we've got Field Pass. Scandal, Shout, Lawless Disco Club, Pony Bravo. What a way to get things going. This is an awesome tournament. We've got Mooncatchers against Machine. So much crossover between those teams over the years. And we get to watch them go head-to-head at 10:45 Mountain Time. Over on Field Pass, Molly Riot, Dragon Hybrid, Rhino Dig. And then free to watch on our YouTube channel at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, Bent taking on Shout. And we've got Parcha Kelp, Sprocket Voltaje, and Truck Clapham over on Field Pass. And that wraps up day one. What are you most excited for, Keith?
How many cards will be issued during Mooncatcher's first Machine? Over under 2.5 cards. What do you think?
Yeah, it was super physical last time, right?
Yeah, just that's how they play. So I don't know if they're gonna pull back because of the teammate connection.
Both teams have. I feel like we saw multiple yellows for both of those teams in games just last year. I want to say. I start to have a hard time remembering who we were watching.
Max brings up a good point that we weren't talking about,
players on both teams,
which is something we're about to talk about. Which is, do we need to consider the UFA postseason here. Some of these teams have still have commitments. I don't know if teams are going to be like, well, I mean, it is just the U.S. Open. Like, is Revolver worried they're not going to make nationals? No. So maybe they do focus a little bit more on spiders.
I mean, but like, it's an off week for the UFA, so your game is in a week. Like, maybe if you're a little tweaky, you sit because you're thinking about the UFA game next weekend. But other than that, I think they're going to play.
I hope so.
I'd be shocked if
Revolver over trucks. So,
absent some kind of injury or concern about a potential injury, because your calf hurts or something, I would be shocked if they just straight sat players.
I hope not. I hope not.
Especially,
I hope not based on my pick.
Machine, I think they're using the UFA season as a build-up for Machine rather than the other way around. I feel similarly about how Revolver feels about Spiders. Like, club is still a priority in those cities. So there are other teams, maybe you could make a case that they're maybe a little more likely to prioritize UFA, but there's a reason that UFA takes this week off. So these guys want to play.
Look, I'm not saying that if you asked, Emmett says there's 0% chance anyone prioritizes UFA on those two teams, referring to Truck and Revolver. I see, I agree, but like, if you're not asking them to pick between Revolver and Spiders, you're asking them to pick between Revolver doing well at the U.S. Open and potentially winning the UFA. Like, they can have their cake and eat it too, in theory.
I don't think we're going to see people sit unless there's an injury reason. That's
I'm not asking for it. So if y'all are confident, I'm down to move
on. Let's take a look at the Saturday schedule. Of course, we will have. I missed a round. Of course, we'll have the crossover and pre-quarters round in the afternoon on Friday. Then Saturday, quarters in the morning, and then semis and quarters, mixed semis, men's quarters at the 10:45 slot. And then we can go on to the later rounds on Saturday. And we've got more semis coming your way. So then we'll focus in on the third place games on Sunday with the ESPN folks taking over the coverage of the finals. YCC schedule coming soon, but you can expect we're covering all the semis, we're covering all the finals. We're all going to have a little bit more coverage than we've had in the past of the earlier rounds as well. So that streaming schedule is still being finalized. USAU just locked the schedule on that, I think, yesterday for the final seedings and everything. They're going to 2 divisions this year for like boys U20. So a lot of changes happening at YCC. But don't miss the action. Get yourself a subscription. The best way to watch everything is to get an all-access subscription. We'll also have event packs available for both US Open and YCC. And a standard subscription still gets you all the showcase games and the primary field pass broadcasts. Keith, any final thoughts on US Open?
No, looking forward to it. Get to travel out for this event, and you get the fun atmosphere with YCCs going on at the same time. We've also had some great games in both the US Open club division and in YCCs in the past couple of years. So hoping we just get more of that.
You know where we haven't had some great games, Keith?
Where's that?
First round of the UFA playoffs. It was a beatdown fest in the first round. Let's take a look at the results from the UFA this weekend. We had 4 first round games.
Which game is this?
Yeah, this is the highlight.
This is DC, New York, right?
So, first round, Oakland takes down Colorado 23-14, and they move on to face Salt Lake in round 2 next weekend. San Diego, a 6-goal win over Austin at Austin. Then Minnesota doing what they've done for many years now and defeating Madison 22-16 in that one. And how about the DC Breeze absolutely obliterating the New York Empire 23-12. Our very own Alex Rubin says the Empire has fallen. Keith, you think that's it? New York no longer has that that scary vibe about them at this point. 2 first-round exits in a row.
I was getting ready, I was getting ready in my evening setup, and I told my wife, I was like, "Oh, the UFA playoffs are tonight, so it's okay if we watch those during our TV hangout time?" Yeah. And we turn it on. DC's up like 8 or something. She's like, "Isn't the New York team good?" And I'm like, "Just give her the shrug." I mean, uh that is a tough L. Disappointed and disgusted. I think New York Ben Yap probably is right now. Uh,
Yeah, I mean,
that was
the
that
Breeze
was
looked great.
that's an all-time Empire loss, right? I mean,
Yeah. I don't think that New York had seen Boxley yet this season because he missed their matchups during the regular season. Um, and he showed off that he was the best player in the game. I mean, 3 goals, 3 assists, dominant on defense, and just absolutely cooked. No turns. What can you say? He wanted the Randolph matchup, Evan Lepler reported, and went out there and helped, push John Randolph to just 255 total yards on the game, and a disastrous performance
20
from the Empire
turns.
offense. Oh,
20 turns for the Empire in the game. Brutal.
what surprised you the most this weekend? I have an easy answer.
I mean, no, it was definitely that. I think you're probably
Well,
gonna say San
okay,
Diego, but
I
DC
am,
just dog walking New York was the biggest surprise.
but I
Colorado
agree. I
showing up
agree.
and laying an egg, not a surprise. Uh,
No,
Madison, Minnesota, closer than expected. Surprising that it was 6-goal game, and maybe that shouldn't
Madison.
be that surprising.
Madison's
You're
some of the
gonna say
best
San
coaching and
Diego.
strategy in the league.
You're gonna say
Madison
San
always
Diego really
plays.
controlling that game
Yeah,
against Austin.
yeah, I am. I'll just finish my thought there. Madison always punches above their weight class in terms of talent, but there's just nothing you can do when you're massively under talented compared to the top teams in your division. And so 22-16, it's a pretty good result for them, but they were never going to win that game. Um, yeah, for me, it's San Diego going on the road to Austin and not just winning, but like winning with authority. I mean, I never thought that Austin was like any kind of great team, but I felt like they and San Diego were like pretty comparable in terms of talent, in terms of their season. Austin getting to play at home, I thought was going to be the difference maker there. But the Growlers just cooked. I mean, Travis Dunn was incredible. 550 yards, 5 goals, 5 assists, no answers. I mean, when Travis Dunn has a big game, like San Diego can hang in there with anybody.
Yeah, Khalif also excellent game.
Oh
5
yeah.
goals, 3 assists. Had a great layout catch off a deflected deep shot. He was in his bag. And I thought both San Diego's playmaking was alive, but I also thought Austin looked a little bit out of their depth. I mean, I don't think they played their best game by any means. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to like get super excited about San Diego, but we know during the regular season that they actually looked pretty good. And the hustle ghosts are there. So
Chance to play for the title against Atlanta. And I think Atlanta's going to win that game. We'll save our previews for week 2 or next week when because we're off this weekend. But San Diego, a deserving appearance in the South Division Championship game. Any other thoughts on the USA weekend, Keith?
it was lame.
Yeah,
It was
it really
boring.
was. Super disappointing.
And I've been there. There's nothing you can do about it, right? Like we've been to a lot of tournaments where you get excited about big matchups, and then they're blowouts. It happens. So
Who's New York gonna open up the Brinks truck for this offseason?
I don't know, Jalen Brunson. I don't know.
That'd be kind of hype.
Stewie. They bring Stewie in. I don't know, man. They need help. They need help ASAP.
It was just a super weird season for New York. They have like a lot of good players, and they never had good chemistry at any point this whole season. Like I think the long homestand at the end of the season kind of masked some of the issues. And then as soon as they go on the road for the playoffs, back into a pumpkin. Obviously, it sucks to lose Calvin Brown to an injury, but tough. Really tough. Ben Dameron's probably going to be on the team next year, though, right?
Probably, yes.
I'm saying in the chat, we're not ready for the New York lineup next season. We are not ready. New York's the spot to move to right now in Ultimate Land. It used to be San Francisco. Now it's New York.
Hey, I don't know how that happened.
Big ups NYC. Time for a mailbag question of the week. What do we got, Keith?
So this week we're gonna talk Ultimate Siblings. Classic convo. Michael Ng and Henry Ng both made the World Games this year. And the question is, where do they fall in the ranking of best Ultimate Siblings of all time? I think this mostly is going to turn into a question for us to just start laying out all-time siblings. Do you want the list that this question asker submitted? Do you want some of the names? You want me to jog your memory? All right, so we've got I think perhaps the most obvious, like well-known ones, the Cardenases and the Stubbses, George India, John Stubbs, Manu and Vale. Then you got the volume and the excellence of the Titcombs, all five of them. That's next week's trivia question. Name all five Titcomb siblings. Proper spelling only. Then they also submitted the Tennells, Leela and Dylan, the Australian Phillips, Kat and Mish, Alex and Max Thorne, the three Lauries, Ben, Lizzie, and Will Laurie, as well as the Schaffners, Jesse and Markham Schaffner.
Okay, so where do Michael and Henry Ng fall in the rankings currently? So I guess the first question is, what is the number one? I think right now I have to say number one is Cardenas. Like, I'm not sure that there's any other duo or trio or, quintuplets, whatever. I don't know what it is. Quintet. That can have like a legitimate claim to have both being like the number one player in the world. I think that's actually true for Manu and Vale. Like, there's a chance that they've been the number one player in the world. So for me, they're number one. I probably go to Nell number two. Like, maybe kids today don't know, but Dylan and Leela are super amazing, incredible players. Then I go Stubbs.
They were both top 10 players in their respective divisions.
Yes. Michael and Henry. I think they go ahead of the Lauries, the Schaffners, the Titcombs, and they're behind. Actually, you know what? I'm ready to put them ahead of the Thorns as well. They're behind the Phillips. They're behind the Tennells. They're behind the Stubbs. They're behind the Cardenas. That's my answer.
Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable to me. I'm trying to think if there are like some names that were missing. I'm sure the chat will help us out. I mean, there's some up and coming names with the Grossbergs, the Akimis, the Youngs, maybe the Nissens, the Krana.
I would still say the Ings are up and coming.
Yeah, I mean the Ings have more room to grow. It's true.
He's barely out of college.
The Gelfans, as producer Lindsay Sue points out. There's some real the sibling pipeline is very strong right now.
I agree.
Gamis, Birdsongs, Thorsons.
It's gonna be interesting to see where this conversation is like 10 years from now.
Yeah.
You agree with my list though,
There's
Keith?
some spice. Yeah, I do.
Where's the
I think that's where
Stubbs
I'd
for
put
you?
the eggs.
Do you go Cardenas Tennell
Uh,
Stubbs?
Yeah, I think that's where I would put them.
Yeah, we're on the same page. We're taking a lot more mailbag questions in our subscriber bonus segment today. We're going to do an extended mailbag edition. We've got a ton of questions from club to UFA to who knows what random ultimate topics. You can come ask your own questions in our Discord. All subscribers get into our Discord. Mini, standard, all access. Everybody can come into the Discord, ask questions, join the live shows when we do them. We got more stuff coming up. We'll probably do some live shows from the US Open. Keith and I are both going to be there. And then World Games right around the corner. I'm going to be over in Chengdu, and Keith and I are going to be, assuming I can get through the firewall, we're going to do some live shows in the Discord from China. So great time to sign up for subscription. Go ahead, Keith.
So Jacob Dickey in the chat, the Jorgensens, there's a lot of them. There are a lot. What's the family I just brought up? I feel like a few months ago, there was another one of them. And I was like, how are they're at AC. They always play at like AC college teams. There's like 10 of them. Why did I suddenly forget their name? Oh my God.
I can't say their name.
By pure volume.
I literally know exactly what you're talking about, but I also can't come up with the name. Someone's going to get it in the chat.
Someone in the chat's going to lay it for us.
It's like right on the tip of my tongue.
Oh my God.
There are so many of them. Yeah, Jorgensen's, I mean, volume helps, but I do think that like having all of your siblings be really, really good as opposed to everybody being kind of good, or even having two who are really good and one who's just okay. Like it's better to have them all be concentrated in the top end.
I don't know, man. There's something. There's a 100 members gorilla.
Came to me.
Slades. Yes. There's like 30 of them. It's unreal. Speaking of Jorgensens, the Selfridges, also another up and coming. But yeah, the Slades give you the 100 guys versus a gorilla conversation. Like, could all three Stubbses handle 25 Slades? Like, I don't know.
Well, join us for more mailbag questions like this one in our subscriber bonus segment coming up right after the show over in the Ulti World Discord. All right, that's going to do it. Keith and I are headed off to Denver. I'll be getting in tomorrow. Keith's getting in on Thursday, and come say what's up over at the Fields in Aurora. For Keith Raynor, I'm Charlie Eisenhood saying so long. We'll talk to you from the US Open right here on Deep Look.